Getting back to the problem at hand is that I have to now jackhammer out the floor, this concrete, in this little trough area to get, this is where my drain is going to be eventually, because that'll be center of where the bench is and where that back wall is. So, sorry, not where the X is, but over here. So I have to do a little trough area. The concrete is going to be either I anticipate 4 inches thick. It could be as much as 6 inches thick. So I have a blade to cut through that concrete, and along those lines I will cut a line as deep as I can with this blade, which will get me about 3 inches, and then that one there about 3 inches, and then going across this way. Once I've done that, I'll get my jackhammer out, and I can jackhammer out all this concrete down to the dirt. Once I get into the dirt, I can remove all that dirt, get to this drain over here, cut off right before it bends in the 90s over there, which I'm anticipating there is. Cut off that 90 and then go forward with putting in another 12-14 inches of 2-inch pipe with another 90 going up. And if that blade doesn't work, then I have the old standby, which are these concrete cutting blades, the cut-off blades. They generally don't do very well. They wear very quickly, especially on a high PSI concrete, which this is, which is why I got this diamond coated blade, and see how both of those work. And that's kind of the process to get this drain over. It's unfortunate because this is the most difficult part of this shower build is going to be this. The most time consuming, because once I've done that drain, glued everything in, got it to the point where I want it, then all of that dirt has to be backfilled, and then that same concrete has to be poured. And then this is kind of boogered up. It's a little higher ridge over here, so I got to kind of knock down that ridge so I can get everything flat. And that will be my curb eventually going across. So yeah, this is the beginning phase. This is less than an hour later, maybe about 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so. Relatively easy to take out. When I say easy, I said 4 to 6 inches of concrete. We're right at 6 inches, which is okay because it can't go on forever. Know that to be true. It's not going to go like 12 or 14 inches. So yeah, this is a little thicker concrete than what I wanted, but it is a basement and it is part of the foundation of the house, so I almost anticipated. So now that I have, oh by the way, this Bauer jackhammer I bought a few years back, very, very awesome. I think I spent I want to say 160, and it is well worth it. I've used it on probably a dozen jobs. Instead of renting one for at Home Depot, $45 a day or whatever they rent for. So I highly suggest you get one of these if you're going to do this yourself or if you're a contractor. So here's the center of where my drain needs to be. I'm right on top of it now, and I will take that part out. Oh, by the way, I skipped some things. I got a really good cut in here, and as you see, you don't need to go all the way down this whole 6 inches in order to get this. It's kind of, you're just scoring it. This blade worked really well. That's the blade that I used. Yes, it kicks up dust. Yes, you must have a shop vac near where your saw is at. Circular saw in this case. It barely made any impact on the blade whatsoever. You can use it wet too, but it does make a bigger mess. So you're just scoring your line basically, so that your concrete just naturally wants to break off where you've done your line at, because you're only going to get maybe 3 inches in at best. This is at a point where I got to dig into the dirt, because I can't put my 90 on that close, because I'm going to have two 90s eventually. This is just dirt digging at this point. So my rock is going to get thrown away, concrete, and I'm going to start digging into the dirt and pull all that dirt off to the side, because you're going to backfill and pack down that dirt before you put some more concrete in. But that's basically the process. The only thing I can tell you beyond that, if you're in a condo or if you in a condo or townhouse somewhere where the foundation is shared, a couple of things you might be cautious of. We don't have any rebar in here, yay, which is good, but you might run into that, in which case you're going to have to get not just a jackhammer, but a sawzall with a metal cutting blade so you can cut off that rebar if it gets in your way. But if you're in a condo type situation, you might have what's called a tension wire, and they have the tension wires that are built into the concrete, and they're attached to either side of the foundation. And do not cut into a tension wire. That would be a very, very bad day. So, and that's why I prefaced the video by saying that a lot of DIYers, homeowners, will not tackle something like this. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to semi-major renovation. Alright, I'm at a point where I'm ready to cut out the drain. So let me explain a little bit about what's going on here for those of you that want to know, and obviously if you're watching this you want to know. Where's a P-trap? So as a rule, when you're on a slab construction, P-trap is always put in for a shower and or a tub below grade. So whatever that grade happens to be, in this case it's usually, it varies, it's usually about 12 inches or so into the dirt. We're not 12 inches into the dirt yet, and I'm not going to dig a whole nother half a foot down into the dirt in order to get to the P-trap. There's no point. So I'm just going to go forward with cutting this off. I have my rise that I need, that 1/4 inch per foot we talked about on shower pans and stuff like that, has more to do with drain lines than it does anything. It's a plumbing thing for water to flow with gravity. That's important. If there's no gravity, wicking takes over. But that's a whole different issue. I digress. So what I'm going to do, this is a 90, but this is a fast 90. Fast 90 meaning it's quick, meaning it happens like boom, right? When you have water flowing, you want as much flow as possible to kind of go easy down the drain. So you do a sweeping 90, and a sweeping 90 is longer than a quick 90. I don't know if you can see that upside down. So I have a sweep on here, I have a sweep over there, which will cause water to go down very nicely down into the P-trap and out of the house. And that's the way it's set up. That's the way I have it set up. My line is right here for center, and I'm just off my line by about 3 inches, but I'm going to cut off that 3 inches as soon as I get an exact measurement. And what I'm going to do is go down. I'm probably going to dig out a little bit more dirt, because you see the bite on my sweeping 90 is not quite down to where I want it to get the pitch that I want for my drain, because my drain still has to rise above that about another 3 inches. So I'm probably going to dig down into the dirt a little bit more. I'm going to get my Dremel. I'm going to cut off as close as I can down to the dirt, or just above the dirt. And if I'm shy of that, then I can come in with an inside pipe cutter. Looks like a cowboy spur. And if I need to take off another 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or whatever, I can go into the pipe and cut circular inside the pipe and get off any excess. So having good tools, not proper, because there's no such thing as proper, but having good tools that make your job easier, They really do. I can also tell this pipe is cockeyed. This drain is not center. There's a little bit of play in it, but not much. So I don't know, it probably had pooling going around there at some point, because it's leaned over that way a little bit. So that's not really going to be relevant when I put my new piping in. But yeah, that's something to know. Definitely leaning over to the side. So yeah, I'm going to go forward with gluing this part in, get my drain dry fitted, make sure that it's exactly where I want it with my line, make sure it's exactly the rise that I want it. In this case there will be no rise, it'll be flush. The bottom flange will be flush to the top of the finished floor. And then at that point I can backfill all the dirt that I took out, and that's going to take me up to about that concrete level right there. And then I got a couple bags of concrete I'll pour in there, screed it off nice and smooth and everything. Alright, I'm at the last stage. I finally got the plumbing with my 90 sweeps going on. I have my level on here. I'm just a hair off. You want to do that front and back. And you can adjust that a little bit. I'll adjust that as I put the concrete in. you want to be as level as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect if you're off just a little hair like I am right there, without doing any shimming. There are a couple rocks under there that I took out, larger rocks. But in the end, you're trying to get it as level as possible because your drain will eventually follow your shower pan liner, your mortar, and then eventually your tile. So yes, you want it as level as you can get it. Get your little slant going on that direction. And so I'm right on point with my line center with my drain, my line center with my drain here. It's off maybe half an inch. But anyway, yeah, do the fill back, fill in all that dirt area. I'm going to throw that shale, what I'm going to call shale now, back into that area, pack all that dirt down, pour a couple bags of concrete in there, level it off nice and even and all that stuff, and then it's a waiting game. And this is after the pour. So yeah, looking very, very nice. Like it never even happened, and it's completely center of where I need it to be. So I can move on tomorrow with putting my pan liner. But before I do, a little bit of ridge going around here. So I've got some quick set, thin set that I'm going to screed into that little crack, and there's really no reason to do that. I just want it kind of as perfect as possible. Then let that dry for a couple of hours while I'm building this wall and everything, and then I can put my pan liner, my curb, and my pan liner and all that stuff in. So yeah, 4 hours? Yeah, about 4 hours to do this. So it's been about 5 hours today. When I first came in, I screeded out some thin set on top of the concrete that I poured yesterday, which looks very, very nice and very dry actually. But I got this smoothed out really nice and even, and all the way up around the drain very nicely. So the symmetry is perfect from front to back, left to right, which is the whole point of going through all that. And we're good to go. And putting the pan liner in is next. Day 3 was actually pouring the pan, and it has, because through the weekend I wasn't here, so it is set up for a solid 2 days. And this is a finished product. That's about approximately where the drain used to be, and then that's where it's at now. This is more important, I think, for tub to shower conversion. This actually used to be a shower, and I don't know why the drain was cockeyed like that. But for tub to shower conversion on a slab, slabs have a little extra, as I've shown before, that you have to do, as opposed to if you were upstairs or you had a wood subfloor. That process wouldn't be needed. And that's how it's done. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're going to call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post a video. And thank you very much for your support.